there, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well today. So today is the video for Thursday, October 15th. And we have quite a bit to do today, so I'm going to take a look at our online course schedule. Now for today, we're going to be talking about our third and final paper, which is called the CTA. So we're going to begin the essay number 3, pre-writing and discussion. And for homework today, I would recommend downloading the topic clusters handout on Blackboard and picking a topic for next class for the next paper. And I do have the links right in the syllabus here, but you can also find it on our Blackboard page. And I have updated our Blackboard page, so under paper guidelines and materials, I do have this new folder called the Comparative Textual Analysis, or CTA, or paper number 3. Now, please keep in mind, I do have the rhetorical analysis reflection letter up. So I would also suggest doing that for homework as well. So just like for the DCA, I would recommend writing a one-page letter for the RA or the rhetorical analysis. Now I do have to finish grading papers, but I will try to finish up today and tomorrow on grading papers. So just like for the DCA, what you have to do is write a one-page letter for the rhetorical analysis, and you can answer the prompts listed here. Now, how long should it be? It should be about a page. And just like for the DCA, I also have a sample reflection letter for the RA if you would like to take a look at that. And I would suggest doing that in a Google document and setting it aside in your Google Drive, and that will be included on your website as well, just like for the DCA. So moving on from that, we're going to take a look at the comparative textual analysis essay number 3 materials today. And here are the guidelines and the topic clusters. And that's the main thing that I'm going to be looking at today. So for the DCA, we applied rhetorical concepts to your past experiences in order to explain how you joined a community by learning its distinctive ways of communication. And then through the rhetorical analysis, you prepared to join a new conversation by reading carefully what they say. Now for this paper, this is a compare and contrast paper. So for this essay, you will take a position on an issue addressed in a topic cluster and write an argument that synthesizes the articles in that cluster. Synthesis means that you make connections between multiple sources in order to make a new argument. Your hypothetical and perhaps actual audience will be readers of one of your social media feeds, and you can choose. You can use your knowledge of your audience to help you target your argument. So furthermore, this will prepare you for your next composition course in Comp 2, and you will become comfortable exploring multiple sides of a conversation on a single topic and positioning yourself among them through analysis. Now, the most common kinds of writing you will likely encounter in college are those that ask you to find cause and effect connections, those that compare, and those that analyze. That's pretty much what you're doing here. So you're doing a closed reading of a given text, breaking it into pieces and parts before reaching a conclusion about it. So here's the situation. Your audience will want to know immediately both the conversation you're responding to and your own position. So you'll need to introduce your rhetorical situation, who is involved in the conversation, and point out the significance and importance of the conversation. Now the claim is your logos, or your logical appeal. So your task is to align yourself with some of the speakers in the conversation. Furthermore, your readers will want to know that you are advancing the conversation, turning it in a new direction, rather than just repeating another writer's argument. Your claim must represent your purpose, which is to compare speakers on a given topic, contrast divergences in viewpoints, and enter the conversation yourself after the exploration. Your claim will need to address the relative similarities and differences of the authors within that cluster topic. And you also need to indicate your own unique contribution to the conversation. So from there, you're going to provide evidence. And you can use this resource here, and this is Purdue OWL. And it shows you how to include MLA in-text citations and a works cited page. And I will also do a workshop in class at some point on how to do all of those things. So you should point to each text in your topic cluster at least once by quoting directly from it. And we're going to use quotation sandwiches, which is introducing, quoting, and responding each time to a textual reference that is made. And you can also utilize your textbook for MLA help, and also the Little Seagull Handbook is also a great resource. Now from there, it will be important to have effective topic sentences and supporting your claim by comparing and contrasting viewpoints in order to take a position of your own. So in the paragraphs, you're going to be comparing the authors of the different sources, and I provide all the sources and topics that you can choose from within this guideline here, within these guidelines, within this Google document here. So comparison of authors, you'll need to look for connections such as, are the reasons or claims similar? Are those similar values being talked about? Are they concerned about the same things? Do they have similar audiences? Do they use similar experts or sources? Is there something they both or all mention? And are the dates and publication venues look similar? Now for differences, you'll be looking for differences between the articles or sources. Are the claims or reasons different? Are the audiences different? Do the authors offer solutions while others do not? And you should consider their ethos, pathos, and logos. And are they focused on different things? And are the solutions different? So then from there, you're going to take your own position. So do you agree with some authors? What is it that causes other arguments to be unpersuasive to me? It is time for you to become involved in the conversation, and you can do this in several different ways. You can agree with some authors, and you have to explain why. You can disagree with some authors, you'll also have to explain why. And you can offer a new solution that has not yet been considered. And you can argue further about something. Is there something that has been missed or overlooked? And you can disagree and agree at once, or you can take a totally different position or claim than what has been offered. So then from there, the organization, you're going to want to start with your thesis statement and your introduction, and try out organization via a few different rough outlines for this paper. Now, in terms of style, you have to remember you are making an argument of your own here and are responsible for maintaining your own pathos. So unlike your first paper, imagine this paper will be written for publication and for readers you don't know. Thus, it should be more formal in style and tone. And you want to try to evoke emotions and sensations and appeal to values. You are also responsible for maintaining your own ethos for this final paper. And keep in mind, this third paper is worth 20% of your final grade. So you are responsible for maintaining your own ethos. Think about how you're going to come across as a person of good character, good sense, and goodwill. And here are some tips. You want to know what you're talking about. So you have to read all the articles or sources within your topic cluster as carefully as you can. And you want to make sure you understand the articles deeply and thoroughly and use information from the articles to provide sufficient evidence for your reasons. And you want to show regard for your readers. You want to try to come across as approachable and thoughtful, not arrogant or insensitive. And you want to treat skeptical readers with respect. And of course, the other requirements. This paper should be 3 to 5 pages double-spaced in length in Times New Roman font with 12-point font, MLA headings, and MLA style. So for this final paper, you have to hand in a final draft just like for every paper, but you also have to maintain annotated copies of the texts or sources you're analyzing. So that means taking notes on all the sources and making sure you include that within your final portfolio or your Google website. And you have to make sure you have an early draft, at least one, so that means a rough draft, and evidence of peer review, and the final reflection. So here are the different topics that you can choose from. You can choose from abortion, COVID-19, or social media. So those are the three main topics there. Now for abortion, the three different sources are different types of sources. So the first one is a YouTube video. The second one is a scholarly article that you can find right in Google Drive in this link here. And the third source here is an article from NPR. Now for the COVID-19 topic, the first article is from the New York Times. And then the second thing here is a TED Talk, which is a video. And then the third thing here is another article from NPR. Now, if you choose social media, the first source is a TED Talk, which is a video. And then the second thing is an article from the New York Times. And the third thing is another article that you can find within Google Drive right here. Now, yes, you do have to use all three sources for whatever topic you choose to write about. So anyway, I have went over the guidelines, so I would like to move on to a couple other things that I have here. Just like for the other papers, I also have a grading rubric that you're free to take a look at. So that is the rubric I tend to look at while grading. And then I also have a sample paper here from a previous student that wrote their final paper on gun control. So this is an example that we'll be going over in a video at some point. But today I have another lesson that I really would like to go over, so I'm going to focus on that today. So under lessons, I'm going to go over the CTA intro and invention. This is the CTA essay number 3, and this is part 1, which is the introduction to the essay and the in-class invention, or pre-writing. So the task, you will take a position on an issue addressed in your topic cluster and write an argument that synthesizes the article in that cluster. Synthesis simply means you make connections between multiple sources in order to make a new argument. In your audience, you should assume they are educated, generally fair-minded, politically diverse, and less knowledgeable than you about the issue addressed in your topic cluster. So in a nutshell, you should have 3 supporting reasons, which is comparison, contrast, and your own position or contribution. So your claim should indicate an exploration of voices on a single issue via contrast and comparison, as well as on your own unique special individual take on the topic. So you'll need to introduce your rhetorical situation, and you'll need to indicate who is involved in the conversation. And you'll also need to point out the significance and importance of the conversation. And as always, your introduction should fully explain the subject to outside audiences. Make sure you indicate the debate. So you want to talk about why is the issue a controversy? Who was involved in this controversy? Why are these people involved? And what is important about the issue? So the claim and the thesis statement, you'll have to read the articles in your cluster to determine what you want to say about the issue. You can agree with an author, disagree with an author or authors, or say something entirely different. It really is up to you. But whatever you decide, your claim must indicate that you have explored the many voices you are entering the conversation. So here's an example. Innovations in gene technology have cured diseases, provided food and made life in general much easier. However, not everyone agrees with this technology as positive. After exploring the conversation surrounding CRISPR technology, I agree with Amy Harmon and Hilary Rosner, who caution about its use. I think CRISPR should be used, but only after strict regulation. So, taking that a bit further, the claim or thesis statement should reflect the purpose of the composition. And in this case, you are comparing and contrasting speakers on an issue in order to advance the conversation with your own perspective. So here are some examples here. So there are multiple speakers involved in the issue of body image. I will compare and contrast these perspectives in order to enter the conversation. And here's an example about climate change, one about immigration reform. So here is the invention for the thesis statement in the claim. Now, in terms of reason, you should compare voices on a cluster in one paragraph, and then in your second paragraph, you should contrast the voices on the cluster topic, and then within your third body paragraph, you'll have your own position and contribution. So reasons belong in topic sentences. Reasons are contained within the first sentences of every paragraph. So the first reason is comparison. I will compare authors, so you want to have supporting details from each article and also have a direct quote. So the first reason is comparison of voices on a cluster. The first part of your essay will need to encompass a comparison of the various authors within your chosen topic cluster. So here are some topic sentence possibilities that you can use. And again, you want to look for connections between the articles. So are the reasons or claims similar? Are there similar values being talked about? Do they have similar audiences? And is there something they both or all mention? So you can quote any author as long as it is relevant to what you are saying. So for example, if you are saying that three authors are concerned about the use of CRISPR technology, then you can support that with a quote from one or two of the authors. Now, in terms of comparison, you can quote any author as long as relevant to what you are saying. So taking that a bit further, here's a good example. Hilary Rosner, an environmentalist author writing for the New York Times, states this kind of genetic meddling makes many environmentalists deeply uncomfortable. Her point is that not all scientists who use CRISPR are on the same side, and many of them are deeply troubled by the rapid and unquestioned use of it. So here is a model paragraph for comparing. And this example here uses the CRISPR technology. So one of the most striking connections among the various voices who are speaking about this new technology is how they are concerned about the possibility of each use, and then they lead into a direct quote from Hilary Rosner. And then they also compare another author named Pinker. So for the second reason, you should be contrasting voices on a cluster. And you want to look for differences between the sources. So looking for differences, are the claims or reasons different? Are the audiences different? Do the author's tone or style, are they different than others? Do they give enough reasons while some others may not? And you want to consider the ethos of the authors and compare that as well. So how do I get to a place where I am able to contribute my own perspective? How do I know what I want to say? You want to consider the topic. What have you heard others saying about the controversy of that topic? And these are major societal issues and topics that have a lot of research and years of research behind them. Topics like abortion that have a lot of historical significance and a lot of research behind it. So what do you think? How do you feel about the topic? Can you think of a solution to the issue? Can you think of something about the issue that you haven't mentioned yet? And do you agree with any of the authors? Who and why? So then within the last body paragraph, you want to take your position. Now, you are welcome to agree with some authors or disagree with them as long as you have to explain why and supporting details, or you can offer a new solution that has not yet been considered, but you'll need to explain with supporting details. Or you can disagree and agree at once on the topic, or you can take a totally different position or claim than what has been offered. Now, here's a sample paragraph of a student writing about climate change, and this is an example paragraph about climate change and how the student took their own claim further within that third body paragraph. Now, here's the invention and drafting for the CTA. So what you want to do is begin by pre-writing. Make a list of things that are similar within the articles and make a list of things that are different. And that can count as pre-writing or towards your final draft. And then you want to decide where you fall on the issue and what you think. Then from there, you want to draft an introduction, and the claim or thesis statement should sit at the end of your introduction. And you want to make sure you have effective use of topic sentences to start off your first body paragraphs on comparison and the same, and add supporting details to the body of the paragraph that support connections and comparison. And then you want to add quotation sandwiches to the supporting details on comparison. And where do you think quotes would fit best? And then from there, you pretty much repeat the same process and draft a conclusion that makes the three conclusion moves. Now you can take a look at the guidelines as you write the paper, but where I would begin is simply looking at the sources, sitting down and reading them this weekend, making a list of things that are similar within your sources and a list of things that are different. And then you kind of want to decide where you fall on the issue and what you think. So of course from there you have to pick a topic. And that's what you should be working on this weekend. That is this week's homework and also for this weekend. If you have any further questions, you can feel free to email me or stop in during my office hours tomorrow. But I will take a look at this last slide here. This is just a review of what I have just went over. So for the guidelines and cluster topics for the third paper, you can find that right there. You can also find the link to the CTA rubric and the sample paper on gun control. Anyway, that is it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or stop in during office hours. I have office hours tomorrow from 3 to 5 p.m. Thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and a great weekend.